Hi everyone. So in this video we will cover some of the main ideas and things that you'll be doing in lab 3 over calorimetry. So in this lab you are using the knowledge you learned in chapter 3 from lecture Matter and Energy, and you're applying that and performing a very simple calorimetry experiment through our Chem Collective virtual lab. So again, as always, intro contains really important information, really good summary of information that you've already learned and you may be reviewing at this point. So for us, the main relationship and idea that we're reviewing is the fact that energy is neither lost nor created during a chemical or physical process. So whatever energy is given up from, let's say the system, will be transferred to the surroundings and vice versa. So energy isn't just gone to nowhere, it's just transferred from one thing to another. So for us, what we're looking at essentially, it's kind of interesting. We're going to be making some coffee and we're looking at, a hot liquid, which is our coffee, and a cold liquid, which is our milk. We want to know how much milk of that, our cold liquid, our milk, to add to the coffee to get a certain temperature at a certain volume. So I would say this lab, or I want to preface by saying this lab is a little bit simpler, I think, than some previous labs. So it does give you kind of a little bit of a break before, your exam, but, or after your exam. But overall, you're going to open up your lab as always. Again, feel free to play around with it at first if you need to refresh on how to access everything, how the stockroom works, how the workbench works, okay? But overall, make sure you're accessing this virtual lab coffee, obviously Chem Collective. Now notice that it gives you a few paragraphs here, so like its own little intro. And overall, the idea is still the same. You're calculating the amount of milk you must add to reach this temperature. And it gives you a certain temperature up here in this first paragraph. Now, what we're doing is we want to first make a coffee in part 1. And we want the final temp to be 90 degrees C. Your coffee is starting off at 95 and the milk is at 4. So first you're going to make this and then you'll proceed to making a different one. So before you begin making anything, what you're actually doing is calculating. So you need to perform the necessary calculations, and basically I gave the equation here in order to determine how much milk you need. So notice you have mass of coffee, specific heat of coffee, change in temperature of coffee, mass of milk, hint, hint, that's the one that you're solving for, specific heat of milk, and change in temperature for the milk. So you have everything you need except your unknown, which is your milk, your mass of your milk. So what you're solving for is your mass of your milk right here. And then you're going to use the density to convert that mass to the volume of milk needed. Once your calculations are complete, you're going to record all of that in table 1. Okay. From there, I want you to verify your results using the virtual lab. So here you have to do some work at the beginning, right? Some work up front where you have to calculate and then you verify using the virtual lab. Okay. So record that in part 1, table 1, and then once you're done with all of that, you are going to complete part 2. And you're kind of doing the same thing, it's just a different temperature. You're making a child's coffee, I guess. Not sure if children should be drinking coffee, but let's say it's like decaf or something. But anyway, you're making them a drink. And it's at a different temperature, so your calculations are going to be slightly different. and you're going to record all your data, all your trials here. I want you to show all your calculations here. Like I said, when I grade, like I have said previously, when I grade, I'm looking for all your units, all your significant values, significant figures at the very end. They should be, the correct amount following the rules. And I'm just looking that you've completed dimensional analysis, that you know what you were doing and that you completed it well. And then finally, for applied exercises, you're making another coffee. It's just slightly different. So, and in this one, we actually use a different specific heat for the milk. So keep that in mind. It's slightly different, but I just want you to show all your calculations necessary. And let's say if you did have, something to say in, in terms of about the coffee or anything like that, just answer in a complete sentence. But that's pretty much it for lab 3. Once again, if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out.